he has issued a prior warning to the entire executive leadership across the federal government of Nigeria that if you do not have any business to conduct on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria in any of these major summits, you have no business using taxpayer money to finance your trip and your logistics to that location.
If Tinubu said all this that his spokesman enumerated and many cabinet members, including the police IG, not to talk of Nigerian celebrities who had nothing to do in Dubai, all of them still attended the climate conference in breach of his order that anyone not connected to the conference shouldn't attend. That means he accepts that his boss is incompetent. He is indirectly telling Nigerians that he is not in charge of happenings in Aso Rock, federal ministries, and the government. So he's not the no-nonsense leader that you people said he is. How will he give an order and people will disobey it? What is stopping him from firing the people that disobeyed his order? He won't do it. After all, his son attended. Does he have anything to do with the climate conference? Is he going to fire his own son? Nigerians are not surprised because they know that he is a profligate with the largest cabinet in Nigeria's history and junketing around the world with nothing to show for it, just wasting scarce foreign exchange that manufacturers can't find to import raw materials. Look at what is happening in Argentina. The new president was just sworn in, and the first thing he did was to reduce the number of ministries from 21 to 9. Nigeria and Argentina are facing the same issues of currency devaluation and high inflation. With his actions, you can see someone that is serious in solving their problems, unlike Tinubu that created new ministries. The largest cabinet in Nigeria's history. Why must our own be different? It is not about getting political power. It is about how you use that power to better the lives of citizens. They are busy gallivanting around the world, pretending as if all is well in Nigeria. 7 months in, everything has become worse, no direction. This will be the worst Christmas holiday in Nigeria's recent history. It seems they are confused with all the trial and error they've done. They are mopping up liquidity to tackle inflation, a tried method that never works in Nigeria, and they keep doing it, thinking that somehow it will miraculously work. They don't want to tackle the issues that cause inflation, which is mainly the naira devaluation, which was done by the government. So how will preventing people from spending their own money solve inflation? When they know that people need more money to buy products that used to cost less a few months ago. If you used to spend 50,000 naira on groceries per month, today you need more than 100,000 naira to buy the same groceries. So even without knowing economics, common sense should dictate that they shouldn't prevent people from spending money. The more people spend money, the more money circulates and the more the economy booms. Nigeria is about the only country that actively tries to prevent people from spending their own money. This is very, very strange. Cash is not available most times. Go to many banks and their ATM machines. They limit the amount of money someone can withdraw. That's if the money is available in the ATM machines. Why do they do this? You go to a roadside POS operative where you are expected to pay a fee to withdraw your own money. The problem is, most of the time, the cash they have is limited. It might be difficult to withdraw 100,000 naira from them, except the ones that operate around major markets. So they are supposed to be working hard to remove all bottlenecks that prevent people from withdrawing their money. These people are going to spend the money in Nigeria. It's not as if they want to take the money outside Nigeria. No other country uses naira as their currency. They also need to work on constant network issues that prevent people from transferring money to others to conclude a transaction. Nigeria is a highly populated country. If a bank has 5 million customers, for instance, they are supposed to install network and IT infrastructure that can handle the traffic of 10 million customers. Yes, this will make sure that in peak times, their network will be able to handle the increased traffic. It's actually to their benefit because it's a loss of revenue to the bank when people can't complete a transaction online. The government also loses money because of the charges the person was supposed to pay. Even GSM networks must be made to install switching and network capacity that is double their customer base. This is how it is done because communication is very important to a vibrant economy. In Western countries, they go as far as issuing people credit cards to make sure that they keep spending money and shopping. At the end of the month, they will repay the money. They realize the fact that people are not spending money means economic slowdown, so they devise all sorts of ways to force you to spend the money. The major way to make people to spend money so that the economy will continue to boom is to make sure that they have money in the first place. And how does one make money? One makes money by working, by getting a job. And it doesn't stop at just working. The person must have savings, money that he saves after monthly expenses. After paying for house rent, if the person pays monthly, or if that's not the case, after the person sets aside his monthly contribution to his annual rent, he will still need to set aside transportation costs and feeding. Then there are still utilities to pay like water bills, electricity bill, data for his phone and call credit. These are basics that every worker must spend every month. After all these expenses every month, the person must still have savings. That's how it works. If not, he wouldn't be happy working and spending all his salary without any savings for the rainy day. What if he loses his job for no reason? Job security is not the highest in Nigeria, so the savings is very important. This alone will go a long way in reducing corruption. Imagine an average worker that has worked up to 5 years having savings of up to 5 million naira. What they will spend the money on can only be imagined. The confidence alone they will have and the amount of effort they will put into their job because they know they are getting adequately rewarded for their efforts. You can imagine how high productivity will be. So the government needs to work on making sure that workers have savings. How are they going to do it? They will need to invest in sectors where the average worker spends most of his money on to make it more affordable so that they can save costs and have more savings. The solution not only lies in increasing the minimum wage. If the critical infrastructure is not there, even if minimum wage rises to about 200,000 naira per month, workers won't still have savings because inflation will keep increasing to the extent that the wage won't be enough. So the government must invest in the transport sector. No worker should pay up to 2,000 naira to go to work on a daily basis. This amount should be closer to what he will spend in a month, not a day. They should invest in city trains and alternative energy sources for public transport to drive costs down for workers. How about housing? That's another sector that needs massive investments. Workers spend a huge percentage of their salaries paying rent. A worker, after working for a few months, should be able to pay the required down payment for a home mortgage, so that instead of paying rent, he will be paying for his own home. All he needs to think about is to be in good health to continue working till he retires. He wouldn't need to think about life after retirement, whether he will move to the village because he wouldn't be able to afford rent in the city, which might drive him into corruption to steal money to secure his future. No, he wouldn't need to think about all this if he can get on the property ladder at a young age. That's how it's supposed to be. Every worker should be able to save 30 to 40% of his salary after monthly expenses. Equality should also improve in Nigeria's workplace, especially among civil servants. The disparity in the salaries of workers as categorized by their levels is very alarming. It doesn't promote a healthy workspace. Salaries should be commensurate to the amount of work one does. The salary difference between people who do the same job shouldn't be different because one is on level 13 and the other is on level 10. This creates an unnecessary class system. Only bosses and managers should be paid slightly higher. Others should be on the same salary. This is even more lopsided in the security agencies. You have soldiers who risk their lives in the front lines being paid peanuts compared to those who work in the office. The same thing is applicable to the police. Officers who are the first responders are paid peanuts while their colleagues in the office are paid much higher salaries just because they are higher in rank. Salary difference between the ranks should not be more than 500 or 1,000 naira. This is because their jobs complement each other. If a 3-star DPO orders his officers to respond to a crime scene in the neighborhood, they are complementing each other. His is to direct and they will do the job. If they don't do it, he can't do it by himself and the public will say the police is not working. So they need each other. They are one huge team. They need to review the salary structure and close the gaps. People who do risky jobs should earn more. Just like in the army, a commander of a division is a political position. It doesn't mean he should earn more than the soldiers under his command. They all complement each other. This also applies to politicians who pay themselves humongous salaries and allowances for doing practically nothing. How can national legislators earn more than doctors, nurses, soldiers, policemen, teachers, lecturers, and many other professionals who their job is harder and requires more technical input compared to legislators whose job is to pass a budget, scrutinize the executive and make laws? The statutory qualification to be a lawmaker in Nigeria is to have secondary school certificate. To be a doctor, you must spend up to 7 years in university before you can start to save other people's lives. The salary of a doctor is not even guaranteed, even if he's working in a government hospital. In the case of a federal lawmaker, he just needs a school certificate to start earning millions of naira per annum. And it's not as if Nigerians get value for their money after paying huge salaries to them. They end up passing budgets that impoverish Nigerians. They buy themselves luxury cars that worth millions of naira, an amount a doctor or a police officer may never earn after working for 35 years. Yes, this is why the country is not working for everyone. Politicians who do nothing earn millions of naira, while the people who the existence of the country actually depends on earn close to nothing. That's why you have high corruption in many workplaces across the country. Not that it is excusable, but people have to find other means to improve their earnings because it is impossible for them to live on their salaries. In fact, it is state policy by the government to turn a blind eye on official corruption because they intentionally underpay workers so as to have enough money for themselves to squander. So when they see official corruption, civil servants asking for bribes before they do the jobs they are paid for, they pretend it didn't happen. If these people truly want to make this country work for everyone, they don't need to reinvent the wheel. Many countries have done it in the past. Look at Singapore and other Southeast Asian countries. Look at China that lifted more than 300 million people out of poverty within 3 decades. So they don't need to do anything special. They just need to copy what others have done. It's as simple as that, but we all know they won't do it because they are there for themselves, not for the national interest. People who budgeted 200 million naira for feeding of animals in Aso Rock. Why do they need to keep animals in Aso Rock when Nigerians can't feed? Some even say the animals don't exist, that the money is just part of the slush funds that politicians squander. When will the stealing stop? It will only stop when Nigerians are ready. Thanks for watching.